Good afternoon and welcome to America's Spaceport here in Florida. This is a live look at Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center, where Crew 10 is in the process of suiting up for their mission. The second attempt, today's T0, is 7:03 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's when a Dragon spacecraft sitting on top of a SpaceX Falcon rocket will launch them to the International Space Station. But as you can see now live on your screen, Crew 10 is getting suited up, ready to go, to continue their regular crewed flights from U.S. soil to station as part of NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Hello and good afternoon. I'm NASA's Daryl Nail, and this is the official launch broadcast of Crew 10. And with me again on this second launch attempt to help commentate to what's happening this morning is NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. It is so good to have you back.
Thank you, Daryl. It's a lot of fun. This is a nice second go after our dry run dress rehearsal the other day. So we're all excited to get this rocket off the ground today.
Today, the crew's ride to space is the Dragon Endurance spacecraft, its fourth flight to space, and all four previous, well, including this one, will have carried crews for NASA and one of your favorite spacecrafts, right?
Yes, Endurance is one of my favorite Dragon names, and this is because of the affiliation with Shackleton's Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. So Endurance was the ship that Ernst Shackleton used in that spectacular voyage. I love reliving these accounts of these early Antarctic explorers. Talk about some brave individuals. Endurance actually was trapped in the pack ice in the Weddell Sea, somewhere where I've actually done research. And that was in 1915. So a nice nod to those incredible explorers.
Indeed. Endurance is a very fitting name for that ship and for the one that is flying today. As I mentioned, today is the second launch attempt for Crew 10. On Wednesday, a little background, NASA and SpaceX stood down from the first attempt after teams discovered a suspected pocket of air trapped inside the ground support hydraulic system used for the clamp arm that you can see there on your screen. It's at the very top of the rocket, holds it to the transporter erector. Yesterday, ground support teams successfully flushed that hydraulic system, and now it's ready to go for today's launch. And the weather has simply been perfect the past few days. It's perfect for launch today, but as you can see from this shot, and props to our Kennedy Flight Operations team for getting it, it is gorgeous out there on the beach. The water is turquoise, the sun is out. We have a few more clouds today, but you know, that isn't going to cause too much of a problem. So let's talk launch weather since we're on the topic. And for launch today, it couldn't be any better. 95% go for liftoff. The only concern that we have is cumulus clouds, and that's with the introduction of some moisture that came into the area that we didn't have on Wednesday. A little bit of influence. We got some southeast flow, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem again by the fact that we are 95% go. Back into the suit-up room we are, as we see Anne completing her pressure check, and now she's up and on her feet. While we have a moment as we orbit Launch Complex 39A with the Falcon 9 rocket and Endurance spacecraft on top, let's take a closer look at today's crew. And let's start with NASA astronaut Anne McClain. She is your Crew 10 commander. Born and raised in Spokane, Washington, NASA selected Anne as an astronaut candidate in 2013. Crew 10 will be her second space flight after launching aboard the Soyuz MS-11 in 2018 and serving as flight engineer on the International Space Station for Expedition 58 and 59. In total, she spent 204 days in space and completed 2 spacewalks, totaling 13 hours and 8 minutes. Anne is a West Point graduate and colonel in the U.S. Army, a highly decorated Master Army aviator. Anne has more than 2,000 flight hours in 20 different aircraft. Anne is also an avid rugby player and former member of the USA Rugby women's national team. She currently lives in Houston, Texas, with the rest of the astronauts. The pilot for Crew 10 is NASA astronaut Nicole Ayers. Crew 10 mission will be the first spaceflight for Nicole Ayers, a major in the U.S. Air Force and the first member of NASA's 2021 astronaut class named to a crew. A graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Nicole served as an instructor pilot and mission commander in the T-38 and the F-22 Raptor, leading multinational and multi-service missions worldwide. She has more than 1,400 total flight hours, including more than 200 in combat. Nicole has a twin and was born in San Diego, California. To the mission specialist now. This will be the second mission to the space station for JAXA astronaut Takuya Onishi. After launching aboard the Soyuz MS-01 mission in 2016 and spending 113 days in space as a flight engineer for expeditions 48 and 49, Onishi received a Bachelor of Engineering degree in Aeronautical and Space Engineering from the University of Tokyo, and soon embarked on a career in aviation with All Nippon Airways in Tokyo. He was selected as an astronaut candidate by JAXA in 2009, and during his stay on the space station, he became the first Japanese astronaut to capture the Cygnus spacecraft in space. When he's not training, Onishi enjoys flying, playing the saxophone, movies, and hiking. And last but certainly not least, this is mission specialist and Roscosmos cosmonaut Kirill Preskov. It is his first trip to space. Before his selection as a cosmonaut in 2018, he was a co-pilot on the Boeing 757 and 767 aircraft for Russian Airlines. Assigned to a test cosmonaut in 2020, he has additional experience in skydiving, zero-gravity training, scuba diving, and wilderness survival. And as you probably noted by me reading their bios there, that all four, we mentioned this on Wednesday, are certified pilots, military pilots, and pilots in private aviation. And that is impressive for a crew these days.
Yeah, it certainly is that we have all four pilots, and I like how you highlighted that. You know, we have two military pilots, two commercial pilots. It's something that the crew talks a lot about. I think it really helps them in their communications. You know, they all already speak the same language, and a lot of them, each of them have really remarked upon that. It kind of gives them this really synchronous way of communicating.
You're looking live now down the hallway towards astronaut crew quarters in the suit-up room where the astronauts will turn the corner, walk that hallway, get into an elevator, go down to the ground floor and pop out those doors before walking to their vehicles and having a few minutes of time to spend with the people who have gathered there. Special guests, VIPs, family members, loved ones, and the press. And we can see in the middle of the screen, I do believe we have our acting administrator, Janet Petro, there.
Yeah, I see Vanessa Weish as well. She was very recently the director of the Johnson Space Center, and now she's the deputy for the administrator.
Yes, there is Vanessa on the right side of the screen. And Janet Petro, currently blocked by the fellow there in the blue suit. But Kelvin Manning, I see him in his Crew 10 shirt, or Crew 10 cap, rather.
Yeah, and he's acting director of KSC
That's
now,
right.
Where we are. Kelvin, great guy, interacts with us as crew members quite regularly whenever we're out here.
Core on countdown, advanced team work complete, ready for crew arrival. Commencing crew walkout and ONC departure.
And here they
on
come.
Schedule.
Walking down the hallway, Crew 10. leaving the astronaut crew quarters, going into the elevator amidst some applause and revelry.
That was astronaut Kjell Lindgren just on the other side of the elevator door. He is the acting director of the Flight Operations Directorate. So that's the directorate that resides above the astronaut office, the flight director office, all the flight controllers. And Kjell actually flew on Dragon as well himself back on Crew 4.
He did indeed. And here they come. Crew 10 taking their first steps outside as they prepare for their journey to the International Space Station. From left to right, Kirill Peskov, Nicole Ayers, Anne McLean, and Takuya Onishi. Well, this is the second time they've done this, so when you do something a second time, does it have the same feeling?
Yeah, you know, I think it's actually probably a little bit better for them because some of those nerves are gone. They've kind of gone through it already the first time, and so I think they're probably a little bit more relaxed, but still feeling all of that excitement and exhilaration for launch day. So I'd say it's probably the best of all worlds to, you know, really combine those things. Yeah, so you probably had a pretty good view of the crew there when they came out, and I don't know if you noticed the height distinction between the crew, but you know, Anne McLean is actually certainly not a short woman. She's taller than an average female. I think she's 5'7", maybe a little bit more than that. But in her crew, she's actually the short one. If you noticed, her crew is exceptionally tall. So they actually made an unofficial logo, which I love, and it has all the 3 crew members as giraffes and the 4th crew member of Anne as the panda on the crew. Here's a picture of that shirt actually modeled by my husband.
And with your daughter watching and
Yes,
observing.
yeah, she was observing. I think her
Sweet
favorite's
girl.
the panda as well because that's a childhood favorite of mine. Perfect for my classmate Anne.
Oh, there it is. The 4 crew members and there the panda with her call sign Animal. Animal.
Yeah, that call sign was bestowed on her from her old rugby team, the Atlanta Harlequins. She played with them when she was in flight school. Doors are closing. Getting ready to blast their playlists, I assume. It's one of the cool aspects. I remember when I was the astronaut support person actually riding in the car with the crew back on Crew 2. Get to participate in that. They're blasting their personally designed playlists with some, you know, real pump-up music for them. The lights are blaring on the escort cars, and it's a really exhilarating time.
They're getting a wave out the window as they drive off.
Here they go.
Core on countdown. Crew have left the O&C on the way to the pad. We're on schedule.
And we are off. The crew on their way to Space Launch Pad 39A. Driving away from the Neil A. Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building. This begins the 20-minute drive with a full security escort across NASA's Kennedy Space Center, including, they'll get ready to do a drive-by the VAB, as we all know. And you see them passing the VAB now, where we just had a big major milestone in the NASA Artemis program. Engineers finished stacking the twin solid rocket boosters on the inside of that very building that you see there for Artemis 2. The big rocket doors there. And there you have the view of those twin solid rocket boosters, 177 foot tall. They provide most of the 8.8 million pounds of thrust needed to launch 4 astronauts on a 10-day lunar journey. Since November, crews have used a massive crane to lift and assemble 10 booster segments, each packed with avionics and motors that will safely detach after launch. And this is always my favorite. You have a rocket in your front windshield. Say, hey, I'm getting ready to fly on that. There it is. There it is, guys. There's our ride.
Yeah, definitely an exhilarating feeling right now as they're coming up that incline with in view of their rocket.
Back live now at the launch pad as your commander and pilot walk towards the elevator after taking a look at their rocket for the second time. Heading up the launch tower.
Getting into that special elevator, and I'm not sure, I'm guessing maybe Anne will get to push that button, but it's the best button in the elevator because it says space. No floor number, just space.
And McLean on the right and to the left, Nicole Ayers making their way into their Dragon spacecraft Endurance. They signed the patch yesterday, so no need
Core on
to
countdown,
sign it
crew in
again.
the white room.
Our two mission specialists now ascending the stairs, right behind the commander and pilot.
And another commander coming up the stairs, since Tak will be the commander of the International Space Station once they arrive up there.
And here come our mission specialists down the crew access arm. Takuya Onishi and Kirill Peskov. As we look at Crew 10, now seated in their capsule. Up next for them, we'll be rotating those seats up. I should say articulating their seats upwards so they can get into a heads-up position. A fist bump from the closeout crew to the flight crew. We've been showing you the beautiful shots outside during the daytime, but there was a really cool shot last night during the blood moon. Check this out. Now this is time lapse, as you can see the shutter capturing the moon as it went by the Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon spacecraft. So you can see in the middle there where it was a total eclipse, a total lunar eclipse. You know, this is where the sun, the moon, and the Earth are all aligned, and the moon gets into the darkest part of Earth's shadow, and it gets that reddish look. And look at that! Like, what a shot that was!
Yeah, that is absolutely gorgeous. And we haven't had a total lunar eclipse visible here since 2022.
Commander, pilot, MS1, MS2, comm check.
Loud and clear.
Clear. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
And core, loud and clear. Umbilical comm check is complete. Report when ready for seat rotation.
So you can see Nicole Ayers is reaching up there to the displays above her, and once their seats rotate back,
Try and step 1.7, ready for seat rotation.
Spacex copies will report when initiating.
So once they rotate back, they'll have Anne and Nicole will have a direct view of those control panels that will be right in front of their faces. We can just kind of see the top of it there. That's where Nicole was reaching up.
Dragon, SpaceX, initiating seat rotation.
Copy.
I think with that cue card that we see there is probably their launch cue card, which has kind of their key trajectory and the key phases of that, the different corresponding abort sites if they would need to abort anywhere along there. And we'll actually hear them call out those different phases as they initiate the launch profile. And there they are rotating back to that position. You have a better view there of that display panel. Three sets of giraffe legs coming up there and one set of panda legs. Good view.
It's quite stark in this particular camera view.
Black and white, just like a panda.
There you go.
Dragon, SpaceX, seats are in the launch position.
I'm thinking about the crew in there and what are they thinking about right now? And maybe they're taking some time to think about their family members and loved ones that are friends and family that are here today for the launch. And there's a lot of special people here today that I know for all of these crew members.
One of the first tasks Crew 10 did as a team was design and create their mission patch. There it is on your screen. And here's their description. The SpaceX Crew 10 patch was thoughtfully designed by the 4-person crew. They used AI for the initial inspiration, and then a human artist perfected the design. So as you can see, as you're looking at there, it's a 10-sided patch with the Roman numeral X boldly in the center, representing the ascent and descent that they will do. It's also representing the 10th operational flight of the Dragon spacecraft. Notice the Dragon with its wings fully out in full flight. That's a nod to the 4 crew members who are all professional pilots. The stars are red, white, and blue for the flag colors of each crew member's home country, and the brightest stars represent the crew's closest family members and support system.
So right now, there on your screen, you can see Crew 10. They are on board Dragon, waiting to get the green light to stow the crew arm for the launch and arm the launch escape system. And we did just hear that go, so we should start getting a good view of that access arm moving away from the spacecraft pretty soon. Now on the range side of things, the range continues to be go for launch, monitoring the clearance area surrounding our launch pad as well as the air and sea space along the flight corridor.
Sounds like everything is go for launch, and we're going to start seeing that crew access arm moving away from the vehicle here shortly.
We should also see propellant load getting underway in just a few minutes as well. Again, our teams are staffed around the clock in Mission Control here in Hawthorne, Mission Control in Houston, as well as the Launch Control Center to monitor Dragon throughout its entire mission from liftoff all the way to Crew 10's arrival at the space station and then on its return home to Earth. And there you're seeing some great shots of the crew access arm pulling away from Dragon. Clear skies as far as the eye can see. Perfect weather for today's launch.
Crew access arm retraction complete. The launch auto sequence has started.
And here we go. Tanks are being filled. Prop load is underway. A very dynamic time for the astronauts and the ground crews. For this countdown today, we got a little further and have gone further than our attempt on Wednesday, which stopped at T-minus 43 minutes. We are now T-minus 34 minutes, and everything is looking good. The vehicle is go, spacecraft is go, ground teams are go, and now we are tanking this rocket. Let's go back now to Megan Cruz, who is standing by with NASA Acting Administrator Janet Petro.
Yeah, that's right. Acting administrator since January. And then, of course, before that, center director here at Kennedy since 2021. And how does it feel to be back here to watch another crew launch?
Oh, my God. I can't, Megan, tell you how excited I am to be here. And I was here the whole week. You know, we had unfortunately had the scrub on Wednesday. But I cannot explain the feeling of coming back home. You know, I love this center. I love this workforce. I love the mission that we have here at the center. So it was very exciting. You know, in D.C., it's not my normal job jar down here at the Kennedy Space Center being center director where, you know, I had the workforce and the mission. So I'm super excited to be back here and to be able to witness this launch later tonight.
Dragon SpaceX, confirm crew displays are configured for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, displays are configured for launch. And with that, this is the pilot, Nicole Ayers. And on behalf of Crew 10, we'd like to say that today we celebrate the countless individuals all over the world that have made this journey possible. To the engineers, instructors, flight controllers, scientists, and leaders who worked tirelessly to get us here, thank you for your dedication to the safety and success of this mission. And a special thank you to our friends and families for your unwavering love and support. This mission is a testament of what humans can achieve when we work together. Go Crew 10!
Such great words from the crew. Again, and some cheering going on. You can see that on your screen.
SpaceX copies. And from the entire SpaceX team here, it's been a pleasure working together to prepare for this mission. And from all of us, good luck, Godspeed, go Crew 10, and enjoy the ride.
Tanks are pressing for Starmike retract.
Dragon is in configure for terminal count.
And there we just heard that call out for terminal count. So now Dragon onboard computers will take control of the spacecraft. And we also heard that the propellant tanks on Falcon 9 are getting ready to pressurize, adding some additional structural support to the rocket as we get ready for that strong back to retract. And that strong back provides access to Falcon 9's fueling lines.
Has started.
That strong back lower has now started, and again, that strong back provides access to Falcon 9's fueling lines and umbilicals for both propellant load and the different gases being loaded on board.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
We just heard confirmation that the Stage 2 liquid oxygen loading is now complete. We are under 2 minutes away from launch. Gas closeout has also begun. So we're now isolating all of the feed lines for the different gas systems from the Falcon 9 rocket. And those gases will then get vented overboard through umbilicals and the strong back. And you just heard that call out that Dragon is an
Ground gas
aisle.
closeouts, expect loud venting.
Well, you can hear that venting now. Obviously, rockets are very loud, and the sound can impart pressure loads back on the rocket itself. The ton of water absorbs and prevents the sound from hitting the structure and reverberating back onto the rocket. And that call out for auto idle puts the rocket in a state the flight computers understand before it takes over, making sure the transition to final countdown is smooth and all the flight computers on board are in sync and configured for launch.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And now we just heard that Falcon 9 is in startup.
Dragon is in countdown.
And in the final countdown, less than a minute to go, and at the time of launch, the space station will be flying 260 statute miles over the west coast of Australia.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
And great call out.
SpaceX, Dragon Crew 10, copy, go for launch.
Great call out that we're go for launch, and we do have a large crowd here in front of Mission Control.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Waiting to watch Crew 10 take off today.
T-minus 15. T-minus 10. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Go SpaceX, go NASA Crew 10.
Copy, 1 Alpha.
And liftoff of Crew 10 now soaring to the International Space Station. 1.7 million pounds of thrust now propelling Falcon 9 and Crew 10. And we're continuing to get good call-outs on the first stage performance so far. We're now 40 seconds into today's flight.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Continuing to get good performance call-outs.
Throttle down.
Yeah, we are throttling down the engines in preparation for Max Q. What great timing that was. We just passed through Max Q. That's the largest structural load that the vehicle will see on ascent.
Vehicle supersonic. Stage 1 throttle up.
We're now just over 1 minute and 10 seconds into today's flight, traveling at more than 1,400 miles per hour.
Stage 1 Bravo.
And we just heard that call out for 1 Bravo, which means we're in the second and final abort mode for the first stage, continuing to get good performance. And the crew already pulling over 2 Gs. Next up, we'll have a couple of events happening in rapid succession.
Effect chill started.
First will be that engine chill on the second stage impact engine, which we just heard. And then we'll have MECO, or main engine cutoff, where the 9 engines on the first stage will cut off ahead of the first and second stages will be separating from one another. Then the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage will ignite and continue to carry Crew 10 to orbit while the first stage begins its journey back to Earth. Now we're just 2 minutes into today's flight. The vehicle is traveling just under 4,000 miles per hour.
We're just about 20 seconds away from those events that Anna just mentioned. The 9 Merlin engines will shut down here in just about 10 seconds for MECO, stage separation, and SES-1.
Main engine cutoff.
SpaceX Dragon, 2 Alpha.
Stage separation confirmed.
Copy, 2 Alpha.
Great call-outs and incredible views there on your left-hand screen. On your left-hand screen, you can see a view from stage 1. And an extremely excited crowd here in Hawthorne. Awesome views of that boost back burn on the first stage, as well as the MVAC engine igniting on the second stage. Great views there. Now the booster is in its boost back burn. This is the first of 3 burns as it makes its way back down to Earth. This will last about 45 seconds. And the Crew 10 crew is still on board Dragon, attached to Falcon 9 second stage, which you can see there on your right-hand screen.
And we're now at 3 minutes and 20 seconds into today's flight. The vehicle is traveling about 6,500 miles per hour. They are on their way to the space station.
Some cool views there on your left-hand screen. That's the first stage booster as it's making its way back down to Earth. This is a ground tracking camera getting these awesome views.
And on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see that lone Merlin vacuum engine of the second stage. We're continuing to get good performance on the second stage. And the crew's G-loads will dip right when we hit the separation events, and it's going to continue to build up until then.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
SpaceX Dragon, copy nominal.
As they continue to make their way into orbit, now 7 minutes into today's flight, the first stage making its way back down to Earth, and the second stage continuing to fire.
This is an awesome view. Let's see if we can see the center engine relight for that landing burn here in a few seconds. There's that landing burn. Let's watch as Falcon 9 touches down on landing zone 1.
Stage 2 SES safe.
And the crowd here is excited to see Falcon 9 touch down on landing zone 1.
Standing by for a second engine cutoff.
Impact shutdown. Dragon, SpaceX, nominal orbit insertion.
And there we heard confirmation
Launch escape system disarmed.
Good confirmation of orbital insertion. Crew 10 is now well on their way to the International Space Station following a 9.5-minute flight uphill.
Now, the second stage is preparing for Dragon separation here, which should happen shortly. In about 10-15 seconds is what we're expecting. Now we're preparing for stabilizing the second stage so that we can have a smooth separation.
And there you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, the crowd is going wild. There on your screen you can see that Dragon separation, that second stage making its way, and Dragon is now flying free. 10 minutes into today's flight, that was about a minute after we had that second engine cutoff.
Dragon, SpaceX, Chief Engineer on Countdown 1. On behalf of the entire Falcon team, we thank you for flying with Falcon and wish you a great mission. Over to LD.
It was an honor flying with you this evening. We wish you well on your journey and give Crew 9 our best. Thank you for flying SpaceX.
SpaceX Dragon, this is Crew 10 Commander Ann McClain. Thank you to all of the teams from across the world who contributed to the launch today. Spaceflight is tough, but humans are tougher. Days like today are made possible only when people choose to do the harder right over the easier wrong. Build relationships, choose cooperation, and believe in the inherent goodness of all people across the world. To my family and friends, without you, I would not be here. Explore boldly, live gracefully, go Crew 10. And over to pilot Nicole Ayers.
Nicole Ayers again. We're not the first humans to get to orbit, and we wouldn't be here without the bravery and hard work of those who have paved the way for human spaceflight. We now get the unique perspective of Earth without borders and get to revel in the connectedness of humanity. I would be remiss to not once again acknowledge those who helped me get here, to this wonderful view and this perspective, to the teachers, coaches, fellow officers, fellow teammates, Raptor Nation, to my friends and family that encouraged my dreams from the start. Thank you. I wouldn't be here without you.
This is Mission Specialist Takuya Onishi. I want to say a huge thank you to NASA and SpaceX, especially the Falcon 9 team for the successful launch, and we are looking forward to a smooth ride to the International Space Station. 日本の皆さん、たくさんの応援ありがとうございます。9年ぶりの無重力の感覚をかみしめてます。これから先の ISS への宇宙の旅、楽しんでいきたいと思います。I will now hand the mic over to Mission Specialist Kirill.
Thanks a lot to NASA and SpaceX for this wonderful ride, and I want to say a couple of words in Russian. Пользуясь такой чудесной возможностью, хочу поздравить с 65-летием со дня начала подготовки первого отряда. И также хочу сказать спасибо большое за те знания и жизненный опыт, который мной были получены в тех стенах для того, чтобы выполнить этот полет. А также спасибо школе номер 14 города Назарова, Ульяновскому высшему авиационному училищу гражданской авиации и авиакомпании МКАР и Нордвин, где я начинал свой путь в небо. И, конечно же, спасибо большое семье и за поддержку.
Thank you, Crew 10. At this time, I can report nominal dehumidifier activation and service section Draco checkouts.
SpaceX Dragon, copies.
Dragon SpaceX, nominal nose cone opening and forward bulkhead Draco checkouts.
SpaceX Dragon, copies and confirm nominal E-course activation and go for visors.
There we heard confirmation that the nose cone has fully deployed and that the crew is now able to lift their visors. And there, again, we're seeing some views inside the Dragon Endurance spacecraft with Crew 10 on their way to the International Space Station.
Affirm, you are go to open visors.
Copy.
Dragon SpaceX, there are about 3 minutes remaining in the current ground station pass. At this time, you're welcome to introduce your zero-G indicator. We're using the full crew cam so we can see all 4 crew members right now.
All right, copies. Thank you, SpaceX. We'd like to introduce the Crew 10G indicator. Takuya is holding him up. This is a hand crochet origami crane. The Japanese origami, hand crocheted in the United States, and his name is Drug, which is the Russian name for friend. Origami is the Japanese art of folding paper. This is a nod to the unique and deep cultural traditions from which each of us come. While we're from different parts of the world, we are brought together in this bold endeavor, and we represent all of humanity. The folded paper design was also chosen to represent paper airplanes that we made when we were kids, before we were astronauts, when all we had was a dream. And we looked up at the sky and we wondered, what if? It's a symbol that every big accomplishment starts with a quiet dream, and that dreams do come true when you believe in yourself and you listen only to those who believe in you. Crew 10 believes in all of the dreamers. The flag and the number markings on the crane, there's a number 10 on each of its wings and a flag from each one of our countries on the tail. This is a nod to each of our shared experiences as professional pilots. These patches are arranged to look like an airplane. This is a source of deep pride for our crew, because what pilot doesn't like to talk about the fact that they're a pilot? But this also symbolizes our shared culture as astronauts. In the years of training together, we found we have far more in common than we do different. Our zero-G indicator was handmade by a small business owner in the United States. This represents all the hands which created our entire space program, and this rocket and this capsule that we're flying today. It also represents all of the artists and musicians who inspire people to imagine beyond what they can see. Spaceflight is perhaps the most complex endeavor of our time, but it was built one step at a time, by one person at a time. Finally, the origami crane is the international symbol for peace, hope, and healing. Crew 10 hopes to serve as a beacon of hope, a reminder of what humans can accomplish when we see the goodness in one another and we choose to work together toward a common goal. Today, we are united not through common enemy, but through shared optimism and a basic belief in the goodness of humanity. It is far easier to be enemies than it is to be friends. It's easier to break partnerships and relationships than it is to build them. Spaceflight is hard, and success depends on leaders of character who choose the harder right over the easier wrong, and who build programs, partnerships, and relationships. We explore for the benefit of all. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, then go together. Crew 10 chooses to go together in peace, because you cannot be great without the greatness of others. Go NASA, go Roscosmos, go JAXA, and go Crew 10.